ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Olson, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I'm joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. A couple fellow gladiators here. This really is a Royal Geek podcast tonight.
I didn't think about that until right now.
Well, part of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
We're Romans. We're honorary Romans tonight, guys.
Is that a good thing? Yeah.
Depends on your time.
Yeah. Depends on a lot of things, like maybe where in the world you're from.
Yeah.
What relationship you had with the Roman Empire. Anyways, before this gets any muddier, let's just, before we dive into our review, which I think we're going to have a fun time, we're talking Gladiator 2. 24 years in the making, boys.
Dang, man, that's a long time, man.
We need to get into like what took them so long, or why they even did it in the first place. But before we do that, just want to thank all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. I want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Also, share this podcast with your friends, all right? If you got anyone in your life that just loves some Gladiator, you know, there's a lot of dudes out there who would say it's one of their favorite movies of all time. And you know what? It's a pretty darn good movie.
Yeah.
So if you got a friend out there who loves Gladiator and they saw Gladiator 2, send them a link to this podcast, please. It helps us out a lot, okay? So big shout out to the community, everybody for tuning in. Boys, let's get into it. Spoiler warning, if you are listening right now and you haven't yet watched Gladiator 2, here's your spoiler warning, okay? We're talking all the details. How are you guys feeling? I mean, we got to see this last night together.
We did, yeah.
Yes.
We watched it. We were all together watching it. IMAX, which
it's the way to go.
The sound in IMAX is what makes the difference.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
It was a good movie, man. I enjoyed it because the action scenes were intense and next level.
Yeah.
And they had some acting chops going on too.
Yeah.
It's tough to follow Russell Crowe's performance. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's one of the best ever.
His performance in Gladiator 1 is iconic. It could have just been like a middle of the road like action movie.
Yeah.
But like the acting performances in the original Gladiator is what took it from what could have been a good middle of the road movie to like great
To an epic all-time movie.
It's an all-time movie for sure.
I want to rag on my buddy Justin here.
Here we go.
You know where we're going, don't you?
Maybe we'll see.
We're riding together, and this is the problem when we watch movies together, and if we're riding together, it's hard to not talk about it because we want to save it for the pod.
Yeah.
But last night, because Justin's very critical of anything and everything, one of the first comments he made, which I'm surprised you haven't said this yet, but he's like, yeah, it was good, but, the main guy, Paul Mescal, I just, he wasn't Russell Crowe, and
That's not the exact word.
what did you say exactly?
I said if they were going for a vengeance story in Gladiator 2, like they did in Gladiator 1, I wasn't feeling Mescal's performance as somebody who's seeking vengeance as I did to Russell's character.
Okay, that's right, because then I said, well, that's because like halfway through the movie, his mood changes intentionally. There's a shift.
Yeah.
When Pedro Pascal's character, which is named, here we go, IMDb.
Achaeus.
Acacius.
Achaeus,
yes. Man, Pedro Pascal is one good-looking dude, ain't he? That's a great picture of him. Wow. Anyways,
I think the real issue you might have with that is not so much that it wasn't a good revenge story. I think it was because it was where everything that was happening in the first Gladiator, you was very clear and you understood his justifications as to why, and you were perfectly aligned with his revenge. And this one, we knew that his revenge was misaligned. Not necessarily that it was his fault, because from his point of view, he was... it made sense that why wouldn't he be mad at the general who literally led the invasion that killed his wife?
Yeah.
That makes sense from it. But I think from what we had seen from just...
But there's more.
Pedro Pascal being Pedro Pascal is just like, it's hard to not like him.
It's hard not to, yeah.
Yeah, but then on top of that, you knew there was like, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
And he was...
Even in the battlefield, in the first opening scene in Numidia, when Pedro Pascal's leading those Romans, eating his little apple or bread or he had like bread and some wine. Yeah. It's like you could even tell in that battle he was like he wasn't just some
bloodthirsty.
Yes, you could tell, which I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, I did. So here's there's so much backstory here. Okay, first of all, I need to get back to ragging on Justin.
Yeah, let's say, did he finish?
Yeah, no, I did not. So here's what happened. So Lucius, his whole why changes midway through the movie when Pedro Pascal kind of surrenders. He realized, like you said, it was misinformed. It was misaligned. His vengeance. So the direction he's going changes. But that's not my big thing. My big thing with Justin is in the car last night. He said it's like if they were trying to go the same route with Russell Crowe's, like they missed it. I was like, yeah, because that's literally one of the greatest performances we've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. Hard to top that, right?
Yeah. I said this last night. I was like, it's kind of like anytime there's a villain character and you're like, well, it wasn't the Joker. It wasn't the Dark Knight.
Yeah, but when you said that, I was like, God dang, you're right. So,
so he's like super critical. Anyways, just throwing my boy under the bus here.
I mean, which is true. Russell Crowe was one of the best performances ever.
Yeah. Which is another reason why I was always like, they'll never do another one. Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
And so here's what's fun. I want to talk about what we knew going into the film. So on our way to the movie theater last night, I told Justin, I was like, I literally know nothing.
Blind.
I know absolutely. There's a part of me that's like, this movie could be hundreds of years later. And I have no idea. I didn't know if it was going to be connected to, because it's been so long in our life, 24 years. I was like, I have no idea if it's connected to the first one. I don't know where.
Yeah.
This is. Were you guys in a similar spot, or what did you know about it?
I knew that it was going to be in the same generation as the first one because Connie Nielsen was still in it.
Correct.
Yeah. And she was in the first one as well.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize any of that till we got there. Yeah.
So I knew that it had to be within 20 years or something. Yeah. Roughly. So I knew it had to be around there.
Ended up being 16.
Yes, ended up being 16. I was unaware. I didn't have a great grasp on what the real plot was going to be of the movie, or anything like that. To tell you the truth, I was kind of going in there just hoping to enjoy the ride more than anything else.
There you go.
Yeah, no, same for me too. Like I knew the premise was going to be within the same period, either shortly after or a couple of years after, that kind of thing, of the original Gladiator. But essentially I was like, let's just have a good time and see what they come up with, because it's going to be hard to top the first one, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the bar was not extremely high, because how do you follow up that first movie? But it ended up exceeding my expectations. So, I'm here for it.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a little bit of a struggle for me, when I'm thinking about the movie in general, because the first one was essentially almost an A+ movie, and this one I would say is my general rating probably a B+, which normally when you go into a movie you're like, that'd be an amazing outcome, but you kind of almost had to think about you're almost a little bit disappointing because you're thinking of that A+ when you're thinking of this B+, so it seems like it's a step down, but really it isn't a huge step down in quality.
Yeah. Okay, well then how about this? This could be helpful for our listeners. What if we all share a overview of what we loved and maybe what we what you already were critical about, anything you were critical or didn't like.
That first didn't like first. Yeah.
Whatever you want. Yeah, you could choose to be positive or pessimistic.
Oh, great!
So whatever you want, Justin.
I'll go last
with a smile on your face.
I'll go last with that stuff.
Okay, so I will start with my pessimistic parts of it.
There you go. Lead from the front.
Number one, I would say. So in the first Gladiator fight, and this is one of the few things I did bring up after the movie that we watched last night.
Yeah.
The CGI with the apes was not great in that moment. I felt like there was this weird I get it was a proving ground moment, but I don't see how. Also, that fight just ends. You don't actually see either side winning.
Yeah.
It basically stops as soon as Denzel Washington's character wants it to stop. But it doesn't make sense. There'd be the apes were essentially winning.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he bites the one ape and then the battle's over.
Yeah.
Well, and he choked him out. He choked him out.
But the rest of the apes were
still
part of my pun, but we're going ape on the rest of the dudes. Like,
Yeah.
Part of the reason why it was such a cool moment was what he was doing, what Lucius was doing, was because of the fact that he was the only one who's holding his own against these apes, and yet it ends.
Everybody else had to have been holding their own somewhat if the apes didn't kill him right away.
But the thing is, like,
we didn't see it,
and I just felt like they were making this big moment of what he did, and yet if the apes were, which kind of makes it seem like, okay, so the apes had to have the upper hand, yet all the humans ended up essentially living.
Yeah,
and
except -1, but yeah.
Yeah, except for like one. But it just felt like it was a weird scene. And then, like I said, the CGI wasn't great in that moment.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like abruptly stopped.
Yeah. Which that's also mine as well, the CGI. I thought actually not only the ape scene, but a lot of the scenes where they tried to enhance the blood effect, it came across as...
It did feel like more like I was watching 300 than Gladiator at moments.
Yeah. But yeah, the blood was a little too over the top.
What do you think of the
CGI.
sharks? What do you think of the CGI sharks?
I'll tell you what, if you would have told me going into this movie, like it gave me a bingo card and there were sharks on it, I would have never have thought that would be an option in this movie.
Yeah, me either.
But here we are.
Okay, I'll give a positive one. For me, a positive one would be, I think that I liked the fact that it never felt like they cheapened the experience of the first movie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they didn't diminish the value of the first movie by making the second movie.
So, but did you feel like even while you were watching it, like
no, not at all. Like as I was watching it, like yes, I knew how good the old movie was, but I feel like this did not lower my way I felt about it. If anything, like this could be a fantastic standalone movie, but it honestly just expands the world of the first movie, to be honest with you. Yes, we're still in the same setting. However, we have a new set of rulers, the twin emperors, which I thought was an interesting premise. That
we'll get to them.
Yeah, we will. But then, like, really, the story on how like Lucius actually like gets to where he's at. Like he had a rough life. You didn't think that the character from the first movie, who was like a privileged like prince essentially,
right?
would end up in the Gladiator arena the way he did. Like this is the only way that makes sense for this to happen, is if he's like basically on the run his whole life, fighting to survive, just making those types of decisions throughout the rest of his life, where he lives where he thinks his mom didn't want him anymore, and he finally finds a home only for it to be destroyed by the Roman Empire, which he came from. Like,
no, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's why it's a wild premise, but you kind of can relate and see where he gets to in the Gladiator arena. And when you have for him, yes, it was his father, but like a mentor figure of watching Maximus fight in the arena, like, yeah, you're gonna aspire to be as good as him, or if not better than him, which by no means was Paul Mescal, who played Lucius, like an overbearing figure in this movie. He was short, a little bit stocky, like build wise. Like he was, he wasn't like ripped or anything like that. Like
he's in good shape.
He's in good shape. Yeah, he's in good shape. But there were some serious heavyweights that were around him.
Yeah,
and he was leading them.
Yeah,
but he obviously accomplished something in his life without the silver spoon in his mouth from the Roman Empire that he had in the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And I mean, again, and I think, again, his performance, Paul Mescal's performance, and I'd never heard of this guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I was looking at his IMDb page, and I don't watch as many movies and shows and stuff as you do, but I didn't like. I don't know anything else that he's been in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this
he was nominated for Best Actor last year. Like that's
okay.
That's what says something. So
yeah, and I never heard of him.
Yeah. He's a good actor, but he's been in very few things. And
yeah, it was only 28.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, like Pedro Pascal, who's I wouldn't say new, but like Pedro Pascal's been a big deal for what, like close to 10 years maybe now.
Oh yeah.
He's like 49 now. So it's like in his late 30s, Pedro Pascal got his big break.
Yes.
This guy's 28. This Paul dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think overall I liked his character. One of my favorite parts of the whole movie is when he literally does the same thing that Russell Crowe does. He stabs the sword down, picks up the dirt in his hands, and it was like, here we go. You know what I'm saying? It was an awesome, like, here we go moment.
Now, when that moment happens, though, like, you think back on it, and you're almost like, he acts like he doesn't want to have any connection to Rome.
Right.
But why would he do that if in some part of his mind he wasn't like, I want to, like, have this connection to Maximus?
Yeah.
Like,
is that a connection to Rome, or is that a connection to Maximus?
Like connection to Maximus, but, like, I think in a way he doesn't want to show that part of himself that was the Roman self, but in a way it's almost kind of showing like he can't get away from that part of himself.
Yeah, I think that's honestly what this whole entire movie is a story of
he can't get away.
Escape destiny.
Yeah. It is the whole entire part of the show, or part of it. But like you kind of think, okay, well, like if he really wanted to just be a gladiator or not be pulling himself into that realm, he wouldn't have done that because, there are these, it is very distinctive action what he did.
No, it was,
But yeah, and like with his entire character as a whole, I mean, I had this like interesting like connection in my mind. I was like, it's kind of funny because the way he acted on the outside was almost the way that Russell Crowe is kind of portrayed outside of his movies. Or like on the sets of his movies, he's this unhinged like madman. Like not in his movies necessarily, and his character wasn't in Gladiator at all. He was very controlled,
right?
But like a lot of times behind the scene, Russell Crowe is kind of known as this unhinged madman who will like break stuff and like scream at people and just be this. I felt like that's kind of the energy that he was playing, like almost this Russell Crowe backstage type of mindset.
Yeah, no, I mean Russell Crowe, like it kind of his legacy lived on in this movie, and he didn't even make a vocal appearance or like.
Yes, he
had old clips, obviously.
Had some old clips,
but, like even the big deal, like in the Gladiator like headquarters where his name was scratched out, and they talked about him, like that was in his like legacy, that kind of thing.
Okay. My biggest win is that it didn't feel like it cheapened the first movie. And I really enjoyed it. The action was good. I think.
Let's talk about some of the action then, dude. Because
sure.
Some of these gladiator fights were insane. The first one in the arena was the rhino, and you see the barbarians, quote unquote, right?
Right.
Yes.
They come out, and then you hear the rhino like kind of clanking around, and then it comes out, but the visual of the gladiator who is riding the rhino standing with his back arched and like head down coming through the gates.
Oh, he looked awesome.
And he looked incredible, like absolutely incredible. Yeah. And then the rhino actually like charging and running. And the fact that there's always one guy who's like can't get with the program.
Yeah.
Can't get with the program.
Cowards.
I know, cowards, and he like tries to face a rhino head on, and you're just like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that dude lasted as long as he did.
Yeah, that's
I was
true.
expecting
That's
that
true.
first charge
Me too.
him just get annihilated.
Just gored.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Paul, that's where we lead up to the scene where he stabs the sword he stabs the sword in the ground and grabs the thing, and then he like throws it up as a mist kind of. Yeah. So cool, man. But then, like, was it the next one that was the water one, or is that, or is there one more before that?
I don't know. And
I think the water one is his second.
Okay, yeah. So they literally fill up the Roman Colosseum with water, which they've done in real life. Like that's an actual thing. It's not. I don't think they put sharks in there. There's no way.
I don't know. I really was thinking, like, legitimately, what I was thinking about when this was happening. I was like, I kind of feel bad for the people who had to transport these sharks.
Correct.
Like, totally.
Like, what was that job had to have been like? Like, to be...
First off, to catch them in the first place.
And I wonder what kind of containers they would have had to transport them in water.
In that time.
In that time,
Right. Yes.
I
don't think... Rome isn't right on the water either. Like, I mean, it's close. I think so.
Yeah.
To the, it's not like super far inland, but it's not like it's like, okay, you could literally just take them from the dock to there. I think you have to take them over land at some point.
Right. But they had the ship battle in the Colosseum with the sharks in the water.
Yeah.
And just like Lucius's his strategy, his battle prowess kind of stood out when like they intentionally like cut it close so they can destroy the oars of the
Yes.
other boat, and then like completely rams it, docks it. That whole sequence was just really incredible. Like I
Yes.
was thoroughly like locked in when this scene was happening.
Yeah.
And some minor action scenes that really stood out to me were when Denzel's character brings him to the little fist fight that turns into a sword fight in the Emperor's party room or whatever, and they're just kind of duking it out. And right before the fight starts, Lucia's character's like, "We don't need to fight for their entertainment," and then the dude just charges him. He's like, "All right, well, I guess I'll just handle my business."
I know, like the whole time he's trying to convince the dudes, like, stop just being a part of this.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Correct. Which was a fun scene.
But like, what are you gonna do?
For that, there was one scene in that Rhino fight that I want to just bring up real quick. I actually felt bad for the other dude, the dude he ends up killing in the Rhino scene, because the dude was going to show him mercy.
That's true.
Like, and then he's like, but then because of his stubbornness,
That's true.
he's like, I'd rather die than. But would you rather
Let the
this
Romans
other
show me
guy
mercy,
die? Would you rather the other guy die? Because, like, in that moment, he's actually being pretty irrational. Because it's like, okay, so we could either both live, or one of us will die.
Or I can make a point.
Or I can make a point.
Yeah.
And like in a moment where I'd be the one that'd be more like, got this sword, you're gonna live 100% in this scenario, and then you turn it to where he ends up dying.
It gets more to that scene, and a lot of scenes get more into his rage, which Denzel's Macronis.
I think you got it right the first time.
Macronis. Okay. We're gonna get these Roman names down at some point.
No, we will not.
No. We will. Just be patient. We're gonna get them. But he makes the point. He's like almost giving commentary to us directly. He's like, you know what's so special about you? It's your rage.
That is true. Yeah,
like
Denzel fueled that.
How many times he said? It's almost like he's like trying to gaslight him to like just keep. I think that's what he's trying to do. Is keep him angry.
Yes.
So that he'll keep winning, because that's Denzel. That's Macronis's, man, I gotta find out his name. I just had
Macronis.
It is Macronis. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you know what the problem is, guys. I feel like my mind isn't totally focused. You know what I need right now, Justin? Do you got any magic mind on you?
Dude, I actually do have some magic.
Because I could probably use one. I know it's late, but it's gonna be a late night, And we're doing this pod, and I need to stay fresh. I need to get a good little bolt of energy, little mental performance shot. The greatest thing on the market right now, ladies and gentlemen, Magic Mind. You want to check it out when you're having a long day at the office, when you're having a long day at work, when you need a good pick-me-up, maybe in the afternoon, maybe before a workout, maybe in the morning before you head out to work. Drink yourself a Magic Mind.
Yeah, and I mean, it's easy because like it's a small size shot. It's just enough to like really help focus you and guide you. And dude, you can take it on the go. It's so like it's so small. You can just throw it in your pocket and just like for later on.
Yep.
Or you pack your lunch for work. You got a nice little ice pack in there. You just throw it in there with that to keep it nice and cool for the day. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like the best part about it, man, is that you sign up for a Magic Mind subscription. And it's a 100% quality guaranteed, or else your money back, and you can cancel anytime. Like there's really honestly there's no commitment, but I promise you once you start, you're not gonna want to stop. And that thought of cancellation, it's not gonna be there.
It ain't gonna be there. So listen, here's what you need to do if you want to get some Magic Mind for yourself. We have a very special offer for you. Okay, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. And you know what comes after Thanksgiving?
Black Friday.
That's right. So we got a special Black Friday deal. Here's what you need to do. Go to magicmind.com/RoyalPodBF, which stands for Black Friday, not boyfriend. Although, if you could date Magic Mind, I wouldn't blame you, because be a great boyfriend. Be a great BF. But magicmind.com/RoyalPodBF, and you're going to go to that link, all right? You're going to be able to get 50% off. So this deal will go until December 6th, but you got to go to that link, okay?
50% off?
50% off, okay? It's only available through December 6th. So check out that link, magicmind.com/RoyalPodBF. Okay, so check it out, 50% off. you don't want to miss your chance to get your hands on some Magic Mind. All right, Black Friday, celebrate Black. Everybody loves Black Friday.
Yeah,
right?
who doesn't like good deals?
I mean, you save the money where you can, right?
There you go.
Tough economy right now. You want to save the money where you can. So shout out to Magic Mind. I could really use one right now. I probably should have grabbed one before we sat down for the pod. But let's continue with the pod. I actually do want to say my most critical thing in the movie. Okay, this is I was thinking like overall really loved it. Liked the action. Liked his story. I liked. I didn't know who he was for a while, and then at one point, at some point, it becomes really obvious that he's Lucius, right? But there's some genuine mystery. It kept me on the hook for a while. My biggest critique of the whole movie, if I could say, would actually be the pace. It was a 2.5-hour movie, and it still felt like so many things were rushed. But subtly, they weren't rushed in like. I'm trying to think how to say this. This is going to sound so nuanced. They weren't rushed like to the point where it was extremely detrimental.
Right.
But like a lot of times, it just felt like I wasn't getting enough info on what's going on.
You wanted to sit in the characters a little longer.
I did. Someone made the comment last night when we were walking out of the theater, like there was some lull moments, and I was actually like, I could have used some more of those because I needed some more. Like, I wish we knew more about. Here we go. I've already forgot his
which name.
Macronus.
Okay, yeah.
Denzel's character.
Yeah.
I know eventually he talks to Lucille, and he's like he was a slave of
Lucilla.
Lucilla. Sorry, man, these names, man. He was like a slave of her dad.
Yep.
But it's like I feel like having maybe a flashback could have helped me.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to figure out who Lucius is. Lucius is trying to figure out who he is. I'm trying to figure out who both of them are. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like there's a couple moments where it just felt rushed. The time it took for the little Emperor twins, which we're going to definitely talk about that. I know I said that earlier, but let's hold off a little longer.
They'll get their moment.
Hold off a little longer. Like, the time it took for Lucius to destroy that feels so rushed.
It did come on quick. It did.
Yeah, so many things I feel like came out off quick in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been really cool is if we had seen like a scene of like Marcus Aurelius, like speaking about his dream, like in a way, like in like kind of them kind of driving that point home, because that was a large part of like the movie's plot. But then like you hear it from Macronus's point of view, and he's just like he's jaded because like he knows this dream doesn't mean anything for him.
Right.
Like this dream isn't about him. It's
Exactly.
about
See, that's what I'm talking
everyone
about.
else.
Yeah.
Would have been an interesting way for him to like have a legitimate in your face gripe about the entire idea of the film, which would make his character make more sense and like why he's so against this idea and why he wants the power for himself.
Yeah.
Because he knows that even that dream that was supposedly thought up,
It was
never for him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like Denzel's character does a
Macronus.
Yes.
does such a phenomenal job in the movie overall. But like I
did love his character.
Yeah, Denzel. I feel like Denzel has always played like this one type of character throughout his entire movie career.
Yeah.
And there are parts of this movie where you're like, okay, I see that Denzel character, but a little bit of me saw something different.
You very rarely ever see him be a Weasley.
Yes.
Which he was. He kind of like dug into that
and
a little bit.
It got me thinking, like even towards the end of the movie when he had his fate of like being killed. I'm like, has Denzel ever been killed in a movie before? And I had to like keep thinking over and over.
Yeah, but
I know. Since Training Day. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's been a long time. Like, if you actually
It's
think
a
about,
long time, yeah.
has he ever been killed
about
in
25 years now,
killed in
I
a
think.
movie? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's maybe only like the second movie he's ever really been the villain.
Correct.
It's since Training Day. But
Remember the Titans. Nah, just kidding.
Anyway, but like so him and Remember the Titans and then,
Dude, I got you going now.
Yeah. Anyway, like him in Training Day, even him in Training Day, he was a different type of villain. He was always in control.
Yes.
Even in that, like even it gets turned on him, but he's never like
Yeah.
the weasel. Like
Yeah.
like that. That was it was interesting seeing him be that kind of like underhanded conniving.
He literally took advantage of every opportunity he had in order to get a one-up on everybody.
In Gladiator 2?
In Gladiator 2,
yeah. And my thing is like, and I like, again, his performance is good.
Yes. His
acting, obviously, it stands out. It's incredible. So the critique is not of him and what he did. It's just more of like, it unraveled so fast. Like, it just feels like, and I don't know what you do. Do you make this a 3.5-hour movie? Do you make it 2 movies? I don't know. So I'm the guy that just complains about things without giving like real solutions.
Yeah.
But it just, there's so many moments where, like from the moment that Acacius dies and Rome starts to revolt a little bit.
Which even that seems to like, I don't know.
That
it
was
seems
fast.
Quickly,
There's so many things that just felt, the pace was like, even the pace that Lucius goes from being captured to in the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Okay, you win one little fight in front of the emperors at this little lunch party they're doing.
Yeah. And you're in the middle of the
Colosseum. And you're in the arena out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like the pacing was, again, overall, I'm going to watch it again. It's not going to deter me. I'm not going to, when people say, hey, what'd you think? I'm not going to be like, well, just keep in mind that the pacing's a little weird. But I do think, if I'm being honest, that was my biggest thing where I was like, some of this just unraveled so fast.
I'm going to throw out one more thing.
Okay.
The use of archers was extremely odd throughout the movie.
Okay.
In my opinion. There were multiple times where I was like, this makes no sense. Like, okay, so their use of archers as crowd control makes 0 sense. Like, I'm sorry, but that makes 0 sense. Like, I was like, they had like they're pointing to the crowd. Like, it made no sense to me. Like, that made no sense.
You can kill one person before they all get to you.
Yeah. The use of the arrows in the ambush on our Achaeus also was really weird.
Yeah.
Especially if you were meaning to capture him. That seems like it's a very like,
they're all wearing hoods. How do they know which one is him?
Yeah. How do they know which one is him? That's also a very like
convenient.
Yeah, like it was very
Some
weird.
archer messes up. Oh shoot! I shot Acacius.
Yeah, like that was really weird. It seemed like there was a lot of weird use of archers in general in this.
Yeah.
In the movie. Also, there was, and then there's always the little one where there's always the mistake in movies that they make where they do the essentially they do ready aim fire like with archers.
Yeah.
Or ready aim loose, and that's something that never happened historically because every archer would have different like arm strength and different things like that. So it was just like you wouldn't do that because it was like not everyone could hold it for as long as everyone else. And, like there's a whole bunch of weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I just felt like there's an odd use of, especially the crowd control scene. Were really weird to me.
Yeah.
With arrows.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Okay, so that's my biggest gripe. I think most other things. Here's what I want to talk about next, because I don't know if it's a negative for y'all, but let's talk about these freaking emperors. Okay, so we got.
Oh, they were creepy,
dude. So creepy.
Yeah.
So
Gita, the short one.
Yeah.
He bothered me like throughout the movie because he was just so disgusting. Like I don't know. There's just something about him that was just
his like. I don't know.
Slimy.
His mouth.
Yeah.
Like the way his grin, like the way he was the one who said swords. Like he wanted that fight to be a sword fight. In that
that wasn't Gita. That was.
That was
the other my bad.
Okay, when he said little one,
sorry.
I think he got it.
I got it confused. Yeah.
Gita was Joseph Quinn, who was
the tall one. So the other one was Joseph Quinn was Gita, I believe.
Yes. Joseph Quinn was Gita.
Which one had the monkey?
The monkey was the other one.
It was the other one. My bad. I got it wrong.
The one with the monkey is the freaky one.
Yeah, he was a different type. I think Carcala was a freaky one that was like he's like this over violent child.
Yes.
Where I feel like Gita was more in control, but was still
correct. Yes.
Like, it was a different type of like creepy.
They were both unhinged. They're both creepy.
They were both unhinged in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
I feel like the Carcala was a little bit more unhinged in an understandable way in my mind, like almost like he wasn't 100% always there type of like there was something wrong with him mentally. I felt like Guido was
just to be bloodthirsty, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like Guido was more like, I want to do these things. Like, he was in more control of his, like, desires of bloodthirst. And I feel like Karkala almost saw everything as, like, a game.
Correct.
Like, in, like, a childish sense. Like, nothing really ever had consequences because it's the way he was raised. Whereas Gita saw everything as a game because he wanted to control everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like how I see those two characters.
I mean, they're both very twisted.
Yes,
for sure.
very
Extremely twisted, and you get that sense in right at the beginning of the movie. The text on the screen is telling you like what's going on in Rome right now, and they're leading Rome down this dark path that more and more people are like, what the heck is going on here?
Well, even like our first real introduction to them is Pedro Pascal. His character is
Cassius.
He's telling.
I'm getting it, guys.
He's telling them. He's like, they're like, "What's next?" He's like, "Well, let's take a little break or whatever." And they're like, "No, on to Persia,
India."
Yeah, like let's do it. And you can tell like Cassius is he's over it. Like he does not want to partake in any more unnecessary bloodshed of young men in this generation. And but he has to play the game, or else he could potentially be the one at risk. And he kisses the ring, and he moves on. But then later only to partake in a plot to overthrow them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They were freaky, and I will say what's one thing that I think what Ridley Scott and the rest of the team that put this movie together did well. It's like Commodus in the first one is so evil, and is such a good villain, and you're like, these guys they didn't have the same gravitas,
no,
right? But I really disliked them in a way that I was like, I can't wait to see how they die. You know.
And there's two of them too, and they were able to make us dislike both of them. Equally.
Yeah,
like,
they're both weird. They hate each other. Oh man, I love the moment when Macrinus is like he goes to counsel Caracalla, the shorter one.
Yeah.
And he's like, even in the womb, he tried to kill me. And he's like, you remember that, huh?
Yeah.
It's like, how could I forget something so treacherous or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's like, so Macrinus is, playing Littlefinger over here, and he's like trying to weave lies and deceive them, and the way that they kill Gita,
oh man,
was crazy.
Yeah. It's like it was really well like done in like the sense of the way that they brought it up. He had twisted his mind. He had played with him, and then the way they had Macrinus literally help him, literally be
hands-on
there.
approach,
like helping him, like hack off his head, was like it was such a like amazing visual representation of the like assistance that he was giving him verbally earlier.
I agree.
Twisting his mind, it was phenomenal.
And I think even during the scene in the theater while we're watching it, I think Tyrell, I heard you say, "Wow, hands-on."
Hands-on approach.
Yeah.
So, and again, that gets a little back to the pacing thing, where I was like, it happened so quick.
Dude, that was
quick.
rapid
And
fire.
it's like, and if you're on the Senate, you're like, and I know the whole point is to like, you're scared to do anything, but you got to be looking around like, what the heck is just? Wait, why is Gita dead? Like, what happened? Like, so again. Not a big deal. Yeah. Everyone should still watch this movie because it's awesome. That was the Emperors are just weird.
Yeah. Good villain, like twisty, like or not like twisted. And creepy. So
Bloodthirsty, wicked.
Yeah.
So
I'll definitely go for that.
Zero redeeming qualities.
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah,
not a thing.
Like there wasn't a moment where you were like, you know what? I'm like, I can see where they're coming from. But no.
Like, hats off to the performance though. Like they
did really
They
well.
did such a good job. Like where we truly hate them. Like that's that's.
Well,
A+.
the only redeeming thing I guess is Dondis. Monkey didn't do anything wrong.
No,
that's right.
Except for accepting a position he was obviously not qualified for.
Yeah, he should have rethought that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that was actually pretty funny.
First council.
Yeah, that was like the way the Senate reacted.
Yes,
reacted without reacting. They were like, okay.
And it took Macrinus to be like, "Hail Dondis," and everyone's like, "Hail Dondis!"
Yeah,
like, clap their hands. So good.
That is good.
Okay, what else? I mean, there's so much more we could talk about, but for the sake of time, what other highlights or big critiques do you guys have?
I mean, I think I'm done on critiques, man. I think I've said enough because there wasn't really that much. There was like a very few things.
Yeah.
But like I think just overall performances throughout the acting is truly top notch here. Like even like getting Lucilla back involved. From between her role in the first movie and this movie, like she like clearly like they're keeping her around even though she's a part of like the old regime kind of thing, right? And by like kind of marrying her off to the General Acacius, right? Acacius, sorry. And like, but she is like weaving in the background of trying to have like a cabal that's like overthrow the twins. And she uses her like secret door, which I leaned over at one point to one of the other guys that was with us. I was like, did they have like secret doors where you push stone that opens like back then? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if they created like aqueducts, then I guess they can have those kind of things, right?
Also, you got to know you got spies.
Oh yeah. And, like
I knew they had spies.
The servants that they had around them, you could not trust them. Like, which the first scene you see them, they send the servant away, but then the second scene they didn't even think about it. They just started talking openly, which eventually led to the downfall and ruined plans, I guess.
Right. Were those servants on that like float that like in the Colosseum where she died too? Because
I feel like some of them were her like servants, but one of them was a senator.
I saw the senator out there. Yeah,
it was the older senator.
Yeah. He died for sure.
Yeah, it was what she was. One of the few senators that was like with them for real.
Yeah,
right.
Dude, that arrow to the chest. Oh,
boom.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of arrow use in general. Like her death comes from an arrow. Like
Lucius's wife.
Death comes from an arrow.
Acacius died from like 12 arrows.
Ooh, that was actually pretty sick.
That was cool.
He's getting shot
Even
all
that,
around.
like the opening battle with how many arrows there are. The first time you see Acacius be a heroic is him being arrows shot at him. Like there was a lot of arrow use. He literally carries an arrow with the the entire movie.
Yeah, the whole movie. Yeah,
which I remember him grabbing that from her chest in the beginning, but like you really don't see him play with it or
how did he
not a whole
store
lot.
that though? Where was he keeping it?
It's got to be in his little boot or something. Like it's got to be slided down his leg or something. I don't know.
Or like something like in his like.
It's got to be uncomfortable.
Like
for sure.
Like,
for sure.
Like tucking his like his waistband or something like that. I
don't know.
Yeah.
I will shout out also. We're talking about performances here. The doctor.
Okay, I want to talk about. Is it Ravi?
Ravi. Yeah.
I want to talk about Ravi.
Yeah, he played a nice little like his role was basically like exposition for like what's going on around the Colosseum, outside the Colosseum, and like what's going on in the world of the Colosseum,
and kind of getting his mind. He was largely trying to get Lucius' mind right. He reminded me a lot of the Doctor, or quote unquote Doctor from The Dark Knight Rises. After he gets after Batman gets his bat broken.
Yeah.
Like the guy who's like kind of just like, he gives him a lot of, once again, exposition about what's happening in the prison and how this prison came to be.
Yeah.
But also he's there to like heal as much as he is to heal the body. He's there to heal the mind.
Well said.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Like, I mean, maybe it was the opium, but like how much that Lucius was just like opening up. Like, he's being secretive with every single person on the planet,
but not him.
But not the Doctor. He's telling him everything. He's talking about Maximus. He's like, yeah, I saw Maximus fight one time, and then Ravi's like, yeah, he fought before my time, but I heard great things. And Lucius is like, well, he's actually a nice guy.
Yeah.
I actually met him once.
Yeah.
He's just like spewing all of this out.
Yeah.
I'm actually a Prince of Rome.
Yeah.
Which, again, they're creating him to be like a safe place, which he was crucial.
Yeah.
Literally crucial to...
No, trust me, it helped move the story along. And, like, you got just enough information
and he
to
ends up
kind
playing
of
a huge piece later on, too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's for sure. One of the characters I really loved that, like, kind of, like, it was a small role, but it shined bright, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, what else? Actually, I actually like the opening, like credits, like whatever you call like when it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It looked like
essentially a recap.
It actually looked like AI a little bit. It almost looked like AI created.
Yeah.
And it'd be funny if it was, to be honest. But
it was a recreation of the first movie. It kind of told us the story.
Yeah.
And then it launched in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, that was it was helpful. I mean, obviously, I've seen Gladiator numerous times, so I didn't feel like I needed to watch it immediately before going into this movie because like it just sticks on your mind so much. But it was nice to get those highlights to kind of
get your mind in the right
there you
mindset. You know,
there you go.
Yeah, not necessarily that you needed a true recap, but just like
it was cool,
just enough.
Yeah,
and I mean that's where you kind of saw Russell Crowe too again. Was that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end, like the ode to Russell Crowe, like the hand through the fields kind of thing. Like he is Lucius is kind of like he's accepted his role, whatever his new role is now, like of uniting the entire empire or whatever the heck that was at the end. And after that, like he's kind of like reflecting on what he accomplished, which is what the dream that like Maximus was buying into and didn't get a chance to accomplish. And like at the end of like Gladiator, you kind of see like the hand running through the meadows, and then you see it again of kind of like an ode to like dream accomplished kind of thing.
Yeah, which was the one we didn't need to see his face, like a new face or an AI de-aged face or anything like that. But it'd been nice to hear just like a short something from Russell Crowe at the end.
Be like, my son.
Yeah,
something
Mufasa moment.
Essentially, like it would have been cool, like just something along the lines of like, "Oh, my son, I'm proud of you for bringing the dream that I was,
No, you know what
able to accomplish.
What would have been better than that is like obviously Maximus's his speech is like his big like power moment in the actual first Gladiator, where he's like running the hands through the meadow, or whatever, right? And he says like. He's like, my son, you are Lucius, whatever his last name was, son of Maximus, and you've like you going on the whole similar style speech of the first movie. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Also, Matt Lucas being the master of ceremonies.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
I did not see that coming at all. Like,
that was phenomenal.
When he first came on the screen, I was like, wait a minute.
And the fact that we got multiple.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't just once. He was.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Every single time.
Yeah. The first time I saw it, I was like, no, that can't be him. That's gonna be that's just like a bald Roman guy or whatever.
Oh, no, I knew immediately that it was him.
And then the second time, I was like, dude, what in the world is going on right now?
And he did great.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah, he played that role of like
that was a good shout.
Like the narrator very well, like over the top, just insane.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and like one of the scenes that he was like yelling or shouting stuff, he had like wine in his cup, and then like his gestures, and he like throws the wine on the person next to him. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was good.
The unhinged debauchery of those moments was really nice. It was really funny.
Okay, anything else about Lucius? I feel like we're talking a lot about this movie, but we talked a little bit about Paul Mescal at the very beginning.
you and I, you and I, we talked about just like his kind of predicament that like got him to the Gladiator arena in the first place, where how he had to be on the run, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Go.
He was very witty.
He was, yes, he was. He
like
was,
after the boat fight, and they're like that the general's kind of first, the hand of Macrinus is guy that's like handling all the gladiators.
Or who owes him money, basically, right? That one?
Yeah.
No, I think he's talking. He's the second. Like the short dude that he fought at the very beginning, too.
Yeah. His name is Vigo.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So Vigo is like, who shot the arrow? And everyone's like, I did it. Because you could see like they're all protecting him.
Yeah, they're buying in.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like shout out to, if you don't know that, like Spartacus. Like the story of Spartacus, I am Spartacus.
Mm-hmm.
That was like their like homage to that, because most of this entire movie is essentially just the plot of Spartacus. Honestly,
yeah, and then
they're all saying I did it.
And then Lucius he looks at him. He's like, if it was me, you'd be dead or something like that.
Right, that's right. He's like, did you do it? And he's like, nah.
And later he kills him with a wooden sword. He's like wood or steel, but still has a point.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was
an awesome kill.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome.
Very cool. And again, I just love, like, I keep thinking of Denzel, but like when when they have the Praetorian army or the Praetorian guard that's gonna like kill Lucilla.
Yes.
And then all of the gladiators run out there, and it's like that's obviously not a part of the plot. And you could just see. I love watching Denzel's reaction in the booth to everything.
Yes, yeah.
Just doesn't have to say things, just with his face,
his expressions, his body language,
right?
Yeah, like when he sinks into his seat, like he slouches back,
and he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
He's like, this. He's like, "Uh-oh." That's
Yeah.
essentially what he's saying.
Yeah.
But then, like, you see Carcalla, he's like joyous.
Yeah,
like,
more
Yeah.
carnage,
he
more
literally
chaos.
says,
He's
"This
like,
is real
this
war."
is real war.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just
Which just shows like how oblivious he is
Yes.
to real
Which-
life.
yes.
You mentioned something about the action a little bit ago. Like I just got to point out real quick because I think me and Shamato had the same reaction in the theater. But to set the tone for the entirety of this movie was within the first opening sequence of the invasion in the first part, like first 15 minutes, where the dude gets a freaking
Massive
arrow
Oh,
through the
yes,
chest
yes.
and
nails him to the wall.
and nails him to the wall. I think Shamato and I went, "What the?" Like,
Yeah.
we were like, we didn't know what we were in for at that moment, and we're like, "Okay,
That was pretty awesome.
buckle up, baby, let's go." And
Yeah.
I think they have a similar scene like that when the giants show up in Game of Thrones for like the battle at the wall. There's like a giant arrow that one of them shoots, and it just like
Impales.
it takes out a dude.
Yeah.
That's a similar like reaction
Yeah.
moment.
I love it, dude. I love it. This is a really good movie, man.
It
was, man. Very good movie. So, okay, final chance to say anything. We're going to shut this off here soon.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you get, obviously you're listening to this, so you probably watched it, but it's worth a rewatch. It really is. And you know the sad part is that this came out at the exact same time as Wicked, so it's gonna be buried.
What's Wicked?
What's Wicked?
I did think it was a very it was an odd choice to release them at the same weekend.
It's basically this year's Barbieheimer, like whatever that was.
I was actually thinking that. I was like, why didn't they hype this up more to be
like that? Yeah, but I think Fandango did release a report saying that a lot of people purchased both the Wicked and the Gladiator, which they're calling Glicked, tickets back to back double feature, which is pretty impressive if that's the case. But yeah, unfortunately, I do think that this is going to be considered a quote unquote flop because it's not going to make the money that it should. But because Wicked is like dominating right now.
Yeah. I do think there is a chance that it could like create its own thing because I think there are going to be people who are going to look at Wicked and be like, "That's not for me."
Which it's not for everybody, but it is a literal phenomenon and brings people who don't watch movies at all, like movie theater, like to the theater. Like that's the thing. That's what it does.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is I think more people are gonna like it's gonna get like. It's gonna get popular. It's Gladiator too. Like a lot of people know about it, but they're like
popular.
The more you think about it, or the more people talk about it, I think people are gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta go watch it." So I think it's gonna get.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I do think like they should push it. Like it should come out a week earlier and put it up against like Red One, and I feel like it would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
Just not even like even if you were just looking at because like Red One you're like, okay, this is very obviously a Christmas cookie cutter movie. There's gonna be really not a whole lot of substance to it, acting wise. And then you could send people who just want to see a fun Christmas movie over here, and then people that want to see a real movie send them to Gladiator too. Whereas, like I think Wicked, you are right. Wicked like kind of pushes in on it a little bit to where like Wicked has enough good acting and good story to it that it will actually pull from this direction that Gladiator has. So I do hope that it does really well, and that of course it's also hard for rated R movies to do well. Like
that's true. That's a good point.
They have done better, but that's really the better has essentially just been Deadpool.
You know, it's interesting,
honestly.
Yeah, and I think about it. Obviously, it was rated R for violence, but there wasn't a ton of. Swearing, right?
There was essentially no. There might have been one scene where a boob was out, but like
I don't think there was any. I don't think I've ever seen any nudity.
But yeah,
trust me, Shimano can spot one.
Oh my gosh! All right, time to wrap it up, boys. This has been fun. I enjoy it, and I'm gonna be a Gladiator 2 ambassador and convince people to go watch it.
Preach.
Yeah, man. So okay. One more time, shout out to everybody who tuned in. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Please share this podcast with your friends. Also, check out our friends over at magicmind.com/RoyalPodBF. Get your Black Friday deal. And
50%.
50% off. Can't complain
That's
about that.
a great deal.
And be sure to come back. We got Thanksgiving coming up. We're gonna have some coverage in the next few weeks. A new Star Wars show coming out.
Ooh.
So, got a lot of things to talk about the rest of the year. So be on the lookout. And with all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Shamato, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.